Hi guys.
Hi.
Hello, good afternoon.
Okay. Hi. So for today's class, we will be going back to graphite. So all you really need is a piece of paper, an eraser, and a pencil. And just so I don't forget, we don't have class next week because it's family day. But we will start again the week after.
Let's see. So, you said today's graphic is drawing like use this kind of book or drawing like acrylic paper.
Any paper is fine. For graphite,
Oh,
yeah.
okay. So it's like the scrapbook paper, right?
Yes, that is fine.
Okay.
So for today's class, we will be drawing a little goblet. So for last week's class, we studied a glass cup. So I thought this week it would be fun for us to study a different texture. So I have this metal goblet that we will be drawing. So everyone can take a picture of this.
Okay. One moment.
Okay, I'll give everyone some time to.
Yeah, one moment, please. One moment, please. Yeah. Okay.
So hopefully everybody has taken a picture.
Yes.
We will begin. So like always, we want to start off by sketching. So just have it like centered on your paper. And we don't want to make it too big because then we would have to do a lot of filling in with the graphite, or too small so that we can't capture any of the details. So just have it at a manageable size. So usually for shapes like this that are round and that are round, we want to draw a center line down the middle first, because the two halves that we are symmetrical. Having a center line down the middle will help us ensure that our drawing is in fact the same on both sides, obviously with the exception of the handle. So even when we study simple shapes, simple still lifes like cylinders, we would always draw in a center line. So after we draw in the center line, we can start determining the width, the dimensions of this drawing. So first, I'm just going to draw a horizontal line down here at the bottom to indicate the bottom of this goblet. And I'll make sure that it's the same width on both sides, and I'll just mark this. I will make it slightly bigger. Like this. And you can always take like a pencil or like a flat tool to measure your reference width so that you can get a better idea of what the dimensions look like. So for this goblet, we can roughly split it up into 4 parts. So we can put like a center line here and then break it down again into 4 sections. And you can see that the main part of the goblet, the center part, takes up about half of the goblet, while the stand on the bottom and the opening at the top also takes up about roughly 1/4. So once we have this, we can more easily be more accurate with our drawing. So I will put a little 2 lines here to indicate the thinnest part of our goblet. And from here, we can bring it out from the top. We can start our main part of the goblet here. And I will draw 2 guidelines here that are roughly the same width as the base, like this. And I will just draw a flat line across because this part is flat on the reference picture. And the reason it's flat is because it's directly at eye level. So let me demonstrate. So if we have a circle, let me see if I can find a circle anywhere. So when we look at a circle like this, when we're looking at it from above, we can see that it's round. But if we're looking at it direct on, you'll see that the opening of the circle becomes flatter and flatter until at exactly eye level, it's flat. So this is what's happening here. That's why the base, if you see the base of the goblet, it is also round, but we can see that we can actually see the roundness because we are looking from down on it instead of straight on at eye level. So now that we have this, we can mark the widest part of our goblet, which is about halfway between the center and this line, just a little bit wider than what we have here. So having this, we can connect these two lines, a slightly rounded curve, and then we can connect it to the thinnest part carefully and do it slowly and lightly just in case you make a mistake. And you see that it's not exactly straight, it's kind of curved. So make sure you get that curve in there. And if you make mistakes, you don't even have to erase. You can easily draw over it if you drew it on lightly at first. And then before we connect it to the base, we'll make sure that we draw the base first. So to draw the base, we have to draw an oval shape. So a slightly flattened circular shape. Like this, around the flat line, and make sure the bottom side of this circle is bigger than the top. So this bottom side needs to be bigger than the top, just because of perspective. The side closer to us will appear bigger. So make sure you draw this side bigger, the bottom side bigger. And then you can see that I will draw it on the reference. So if you look at the base, you'll see that it's composed of one circle, another one right within it, and then one more here on top, and then one more here that act as the base of the goblet. So we want to draw in all of these circles before we can move on. So make sure you draw the base. And then we draw a slightly smaller circle within it. And then an even smaller one on top like this, going slightly beyond the top of the circle. So it should look like this. It's okay if it looks messy right now, because this is still just the rough drawing. So it should look like this. So now that we have this, we can draw a small circle in the center and then connect it to the main part of the goblet. And now that we have this, we can work on the opening of the goblet, which you can see has a pretty weird shape. So what we want to do first is mark out the center here, and then mark 2 lines slightly within the width of the lower part. And then we can connect it. And then we can mark the opening. So up here at the very top, mark a line that is pretty much the same as the widest part. And make that go in and then go up and then curve over. So this side should end a little bit beyond the widest part, so like here. And make it curve up here and then in. Like that. Then we can connect everything together now. Like that. And last but not least, the handle. For the handle, we can draw a little circle right at the end here. And mark the highest point, which is the same as over here. And then the widest point. So to find the widest point, you can follow the direction of the side here and follow it up to find it about here. And then you can curve it in. Like this. So I'll give everyone a second to catch up. Now you should have the entire shape of the goblet marked down. You can also use your eraser to clean up any messy lines. So this is a good time to Clean up any of the messy lines and also erase the guidelines. Don't erase this line, but erase the rest of the guidelines. As well as part of the circle that we can't see, like right behind this area. You'd always want to draw through the shapes when you are sketching, just to make sure that it is accurate. So hopefully everyone is at this stage and cleaned up their sketch a bit. And make sure to always look at the reference picture constantly, just to ensure that you're not missing anything from any details. It's very important to look at the reference picture. So now that we have this, we can start marking in the lighting on the goblet. So I'll start with the center. We see there are like 4 main points of light here. We see one right here. I will circle it. And then one here. Then a bigger one here. And then one over here. So these are the 4 most brightest points on this goblet. And then we can see that there is a row of lights here that are little rectangles. So we can draw them in. We can also draw on this curve here in the center. That is probably the edge of the table reflecting onto this goblet. And then we can see that there's a big chunk of just black here. So we'll sketch it in. Along with the other side. You don't have to sketch in every little detail, just the most obvious details first. Like this. And also there's an area that's pitch black over here. And then there's a streak of light coming out from here. There are also a few points of lights here. And down here, right at the base. So these are the only points I'm going to mark before I start shading. So everyone can take some time to just mark off points that are important, that have important details. Just outline them and it will make your shading part easier. So when you look at this goblet, it's very obviously 3D and it has very rounded edges. For example, at the top, the rim of the goblet, if you look at it, you'll notice that it is not just a flat edge. It's rounded. It's rounded outwards here. So make sure to draw that in. So like, make sure to draw that in to show that it's not flat. And you can also do that for over here, like this, as well as down here and here. So these are very important details to draw to show that your drawing is 3D. So now that we've got everything marked, we will start with the shading. So last time when we did pens, we talked about cross contour sketching, which basically meant cross hatching and cross contouring. So it basically just means hatching lines in one direction and then filling it in from another direction and then going with another direction to get darker and darker. So you want to keep drawing it in the same direction the entire time because it can make it look flat. And with this goblet, we can also follow the direction of the curve. That's how you do the cross contouring. So what I will start first is I will darken this edge because this edge is the darkest part, as well as a little bit on this edge. And then I will start shading it in. So first I will go one direction, and then I will slowly start sketching in from another direction. So this area is the darkest. It goes from dark to light. So we want to make the edge darker and then it gets lighter. And have an eraser handy because using an eraser, you're able to erase any marks to create a lighting effect. So the edge here, I will leave blank and start shading in the inside. So for this part, it's very important that we're always looking at the reference. And make sure to leave any of the light parts empty. So always switch directions. And I will darken this edge a lot because this part is very dark. And then I'm gonna start filling in the darkest part right here in the center. Now I will shade around this light here just to make sure it appears very bright. So the closer you get to this area, the lighter you shade. So now I'm shading a little lighter. Like this. So if the surrounding areas are dark, the light source will appear even brighter. Like that. And if you feel like it's not bright enough or maybe not big enough, you can use an eraser to just tap the surrounding areas. And you can see that because of the round shape of the goblet, some of the reflections are being distorted and curved. And you can really help if you used your lines. You drew your lines in the direction of the curves. If it gets a little too dark, you can always use an eraser and just lightly tap on it. So don't like erase. Always just try to dab the areas and then it will pick it up. So again, the closer you get to the light source, the lighter it will be. So shade towards the light source and get softer and softer the closer you get. So now I will move on to the base, but if you're not here yet, that is completely fine. Everyone can work on their own pace. And if you're faster, you can also work ahead. You don't have to follow my pace. So if you don't know how dark part should be, just compare it to the light part, because the parts that are light are going to be left blank. So they're going to be just the same color as the paper. So you can always just have that as like a reference and then start finding the correct tones from there. And again, if there are small parts, small details that are very light, just use the edge of an eraser to erase it to create that effect. You can also draw a little bit of the shadow on the bottom of the page here. So I'm starting at the top now. There really isn't anything new for these sections. They're all just pretty much the same. You just have to pay very close attention and observe the reference picture carefully. So make sure for the darkest part, you really take your time to work in that graphite because for graphite drawings, we really want to get in that full range of values. I'm just going to draw in some more of the shadow here. Also, a really good tip to know is that when we're sketching objects like this, and it's against a completely white background. So if you notice in the reference picture, it is not against a white background. We don't want to like completely draw in all of our lines solidly. Like we don't want to like have very, very harsh outlines for the entire thing. We only have harsh outlines if it is dark on the edge, but if it's light on the edge, like here, we're much better off having softer lines. So if you can take that eraser, and just lighten it a bit, lighten the light parts of it. That will make your drawing appear more realistic than if you just have a completely black outline for everything. We also don't want harsh outlines on any of these light spots here. We want the outline to be whatever shade is naturally surrounding it. So don't go in and like darken the edges. No, we don't want to do that. That won't appear natural. Just have whatever shade is already present. That's what we should have to outline. So sometimes you might sketch a little bit beyond the borders. So a good way to fix that is to take the edge of your eraser and just clean up the lines along the edges so that so that you can have your clean edges back. So having an eraser is very helpful. And also, be careful where you place your hand while you're drawing. We don't want to accidentally brush our hands against what we already have and accidentally smudge it. So just be aware. So fix up that clean line. And if you have to, you can sharpen your pencils. That would really help you get into the details. So now that I have pretty much the entire thing shaded, I will go back to some of the weaker spots and just try to find details that I have missed. So a really good way to clean up your work is to use your eraser and just go over all the light parts and just make sure that they are, in fact, as light as they can be. So time is almost up for today's class. Hopefully you were able to complete a lot of this drawing. If not, remember there's always the YouTube channel where you can rewatch lessons if needed. Others, everyone can share their work. Like,
Did you see it?
ooh, Angela. Yes,
Yeah.
I can see it now. That looks very nice.
And make like that.
That looks very nice. The only tip I can give you, the only tip I can give you is you can look at Ying's. Hers
Darker, right?
looks darker.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
maybe
I like hers
so with
too.
Stella. Yeah. So maybe because of some of your pencil is just not dark, so it's completely fine. But
Yeah.
if you can make it darker, I would suggest you can go in and darker. Stella, that looks very nice. That looks very nice. Yes, you can also make it darker if possible. Sometimes pencils are just, they have their limitations. That looks very nice. So far, all of your works look very nice, and you guys all have really great progress. So that's very good. This is pretty time consuming to do. Especially
Don't use charcoal works better or just pencil is fine?
I use 5B.
yeah, pencil
Actually,
is just fine, but
charcoal is better, right? Or 6B.
I think 5B is pretty good. I think like 5B is pretty dark.
5B
But
is not.
yeah, 5B pencils are pretty dark. Yes, I think yeah. Yeah, 5B pencil is really dark, but charcoal is really good too, because with charcoal you can get the full range of values, because with charcoal you can get it really dark. But usually with charcoal drawings, we want to draw it on a much bigger surface, so we can have like full range of motion with your hands, since application with charcoal is definitely much bigger than with pencils, which are very small tip. So if you're drawing on like a small piece of paper, definitely pencil is choice. But even you can even mix the two. If you do have charcoal and you think some areas could be darker, you can even go in with some charcoal.
Yeah, my pen is not really dark. Maybe I use charcoal like
Yeah.
that is the dark, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can
not
do
too
better.
much dark.
Ying, that looks very nice.
Yeah.
Ying
that's
has
nice.
the full range of values, so it looks very nice.
Okay, that's okay. The pencil, okay.
Yes, your pencil is very dark, very nice.
Oh, okay.
So it is 3 o'clock. Everyone is free to go. If you
Okay.
want to take a picture,
Yeah.
This of mine, you can do it. You can do that.
Okay.
So thank you very much,
Yeah,
Sun.
Thank you very
Thank-
much, teacher. Yeah, thank
Good.
you.
Okay. Just a reminder, there's
Yeah.
no class next
No
week.
class next
Yeah.
Monday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bye-bye. Next
Bye-bye.
Monday, no class.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay,
Bye-bye.